Hello, my name's Tash. If you don't know me, I am a yoga teacher based in Cairns, Australia, and this is a little life update video. I have had absolutely no idea what I'm doing for actually quite some time now, and I was under the illusion that things would become clear, and they have not.
So, to give you a little bit more context, I am going to take you back to the 5th of January 2024 with where my head was at and what I was up to a few months ago.
I'm getting ready to move house again because I've been house sitting since July, which is crazy to think. But while I pack up all of my things from this house that I'm leaving today, I've been here for 5 weeks. I thought let's hang out, let's have some chats. I don't know if I'm gonna post this or not. I just have a lot of thoughts swirling around in my head, and I was like, you know what, maybe we'll chat. Maybe we'll have a talk and help each other through it. If I'm feeling this way, I'm sure someone else is as well, so could be nice. I've clipped my mic on so you can hear me, and I'm going to start packing all of my clothes because I feel like that's the easiest. I don't really know how I'm going to pack for both a trip back home, a Taylor Swift concert weekend in Melbourne, and an entire yoga retreat. But I'll keep you updated on that one.
Update: I had over 50 kilos, but we made it work.
I'm in a weird spot at the moment. I don't really know what I want to do this year. I feel like usually I know what I want to do, or I have a rough idea, or I'm happy to just kind of float. But this year I don't want to float, but I also don't know what I want to do, which is making things increasingly hard. I don't know. I saw myself in a very different spot, and I'm so grateful to be where I am because I made this choice and I've put in so much hard work to get to where I am. But I think sometimes the judgment of other people gets to me as well. And there's only so many times you can hear people ask you about your future and be like, oh, aren't you worried? Aren't you stressed? Before you actually start to become a little bit stressed. And usually it doesn't affect me, but I think it's because I don't feel grounded and stable in my plans this year and what I'm doing that are kind of making me second guess myself when I wouldn't usually. So the moral of this story is I don't know what I'm doing. I am in a very different spot in my life than what I thought I would be at 26, almost 27. And I'm so grateful for my life. I love it, but I want so much more for myself. And I almost feel guilty for wanting that because I feel like by choosing myself, I'm letting other people down. And I think that's what it comes back to. So I guess I'm just moving through all of that at the moment and trying to work my way through. And as I start making all of these crazy plans for myself that no one else knows how I'm going to achieve. I don't even know how I'm going to achieve it. I just know that I will because I always do. One thing that really helped me the other day was a little journal prompt by Amanda Francis. If nothing I wanted were bad or wrong, what would I want right now? And there were so many things on that list that I wrote down that for some reason or another, I felt bad for wanting it. I think it's because I care a lot about maybe not so much what people think, but how my choices affect the people around me. And then if I was to put other people out and then fail, it would almost be like a double failure because not only have I failed at what I wanted to do, I've let other people down in the process of doing that. And I think that's what scares me the most. But I really don't want to live in a state of fear or safety, I suppose, because in my head, I'm like, well, I'm I'm almost 27, but I just have like in the back of my mind that this time by myself, this time where I don't have to compromise, I don't have to worry about anyone else, I don't have a house, I don't have a loan that I'm paying off. This is like a very finite amount of time that I have to choose me and to do all of the things that I want to do for me, not for anyone else, not for my partner, not for my kids, but just for me. And I suppose that even feels selfish because I know so many people that are already like planning for their kids, planning for their future partners that they don't even have, but I don't know, like already putting that planning in. If I look at my life the last 3 years, everything has happened not so perfectly, but for a reason. And anything that I'm led to, it always works out so amazingly. And so I just don't think that I could even go down this path and have it not work out for me in the long run. I know that everything will come together. Everything will just fall together perfectly. But the fear of it not falling together perfectly is pretty strong. But I know that that's not intuition. I know that that's me resisting and wanting to hold myself back because I don't want to let people down, as I said. I don't really want to talk about my goals for this year because I kind of want to keep this a little more candid, a little more real, and less like upbeat and like this is what we're doing, guys. Because first of all, I don't know what I'm doing. I have some really loose, crazy ideas that I don't even know are going to be possible. A lot of people have been telling me, they're like, this year feels good. This year feels magical. And I do not feel that. Almost not even one little bit do I feel that. So I think I'm feeling a very different energy to what a lot of other people are feeling, which is fine, but it's different. And usually I am the person that's like all positive and like everything will work out. I know everything's going to work out. I'm not going to be that dramatic, but this time around, I just think it's going to require a little bit more effort on my part. And I don't feel like this year is going to be completely effortlessly. These are like little balls for yin yoga. They're so good. I just don't think this year is going to be like as effortlessly abundant and magical for me as maybe what people are making it out to be. And that could also be because of Instagram and like all the hype. Because shit still happens and people are still going to have shit things happen this year, unfortunately. And I think at the start of the year, sometimes we can almost slip into like this toxic positivity of like, this year is going to be amazing and everything's great and everything is going to work out for me and nothing is going to go wrong. Whereas I feel like I'm going into this year of a mindset of I want some really big things. And that means that I'm expanding my capacity to fail. Because when you expand your capacity for success, naturally the alternative is that it can also go wrong. And as much as I would like to think that everything is going to go absolutely perfect, none of us live in a reality where that happens. But I will be saying every single morning, everything works out perfectly for me. But sometimes things don't work out and it is for a higher purpose. And sometimes things don't work out simply because you didn't put in the fucking work. And there's two sides to that coin, right? Like, if I don't put in the work, I can't sit back and say like, oh, well, like divine intervention, it didn't happen. No, you were fucking lazy. And that's what that was. I feel like I need to level up my energy so much to bring to the table what I want back from the universe. That is fucking scary.
Now we're going to fast forward back to March.
I've been throwing up between going back to a 9 to 5, traveling a little bit, or continuing to do what I've been doing. I think it's really hard because I don't want to be stuck where I have been the last few years doing something that I'm really passionate about, but only just making enough money to get by. But at the same time, I feel so fulfilled doing something that I'm passionate about that is actually really helping people. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 for me right now. And my intention for this year was to focus on the experiences and not worry about the money. So I've written down things that I would like to experience this year, and I haven't set any monetary goals for myself, which is really, really bizarre for me because I normally do. But the last few years, I think I've been setting these financial goals and I've been falling short of them every single year, which I think is really disheartening and has just led me to kind of feel like I'm failing, even though I'm not, for the work that I've been doing and how I've been rewarded in other ways, I suppose. I have wanted for years and years and years to go on a surf retreat. It's like one of like the core soul callings for me. I even wanted to do it before I did my yoga teacher training, but it just wasn't the right time. I was signed up for one and then COVID happened, and so it never happened. But I saw at the end of last year a surf retreat in Sri Lanka, and I just knew that I wanted to be there, but I had no idea how the fuck. So I have just today paid my deposit for the retreat. It is 8 days, 7 nights. I am so, so excited. And then on the way back, I need to transit through Malaysia. So I'm going to spend some time with my soul sister and my co-host of the retreat that I recently hosted. And yeah, see her home in Malaysia and just chill out for a couple of weeks there before I make my way back to Australia. And then once I get back, I am back in that same situation of having no idea what I'm doing. But I would really like to find something that is a little more permanent, something that has a little more hours, that is still hopefully aligned with my values so that I can start to make a little bit more money and to start to prepare for my future a little bit more, without compromising the things that I believe in and the things that I'm passionate about, I suppose. So something that would integrate into my life nicely is what I'm hoping for. I also asked you guys what questions you have for me. And so I actually received quite a few questions. One of the first questions that I received was how to plan a retreat. It can be done in so many ways. I think if you've never been on a retreat, that you should maybe go on a retreat first to see what it's like. But having said that, Chloe, who I co-hosted with, had never been on a retreat, but she was also relying on me a little bit to use my lived experience of being on a retreat to help facilitate certain things within ours. But I guess what it really comes down to is your ability to hold space and your ability to facilitate an experience rather than a class, and your ability to really crack people open and create that really vulnerable retreat experience that really binds everyone together. I've been on a few retreats, and on some retreats this has happened and on some retreats it hasn't. And so I think I've kind of got a bit of an idea of what works on retreats and what doesn't work on retreats. But having said that, I think it's so personal and it depends on what kind of retreat you're hosting and what your intention behind the retreat is. I think if you have a really clear intention, then it's going to be a lot easier to plan and to be able to create that beautiful retreat experience.
you're hosting a retreat and you would like a little bit of guidance or a little bit of feedback, please reach out to me. Please let me know, because I would be more than happy to help you. The question that I'm sure a lot of you have been wondering: how much did you actually profit from your retreat, considering the time and effort put in? Also, because you co-created with someone else, did you split the cost both ways? P.S. I didn't have the privilege of attending, but it looked incredible. I've been waiting to talk about this for a hot minute. Okay, so this is a good question. And I'm not going to tell you exact figures, but I can tell you that we didn't break even and that we actually made a loss on our retreat, and we do not regret it. And this is why. This retreat was so much work. It was so much fucking work. We honestly poured our hearts and our souls into it. And from the first step of deciding that we were going to host the retreat, to deciding upon the venue, the caterers, reaching out to brands to collaborate with for the gift bags, and all of the things that goes into it, such as the website and the emails and the marketing and the promotional content. There is so much that goes into it that I don't think people realize. And one of the biggest things that people kept telling us is that it was just out of their range at the moment. And obviously the economy is quite tight at the moment. But I think one thing that I really wanted to stress is that the retreat is not too expensive, which is what we definitely heard a few times from a few people. And all I can say is that there are retreats being hosted at the same venue for the same amount of time for almost double the amount. So when we're looking at a $2,000 retreat, it's really not too expensive. We really tried to make this affordable for everyone to come. And I know that it was our first retreat and that might have made some people a little bit hesitant, but I would not have hosted a retreat if I didn't feel like I was going to be able to create an experience that would be worth the money that people spent to be there. Now that the retreat is over, I feel so confident in saying that every single person that attended the retreat got back what they paid in value and more. And I think that they would wholeheartedly agree with that statement. It was such an amazing experience, and Chloe and I really didn't take it lightheartedly, but the fact is we had people signing up for our very first retreat when we've never hosted before and taking that leap to invest in themselves. And so we really wanted to support those people who had decided to invest in themselves and invest in us and come to this experience. So from the very start, we decided that we wouldn't be postponing it, we wouldn't be cancelling it. This was also an investment in ourselves, and we could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a course teaching us how to facilitate, how to host a retreat, doing business training, doing all of those things, or we could just spend the money doing it because we're capable and we know that we can. We have more than enough experience between the two of us to easily be able to host this experience. And so that's what we did. And at the end of the retreat, I couldn't believe how perfect everything went. All of the planning that went into it, absolutely nothing went wrong. And our guests had the most amazing experience, and we received the most positive, heartwarming feedback that I just cannot explain the feeling. I cannot explain the high, and you cannot put a price on people feeling like their life has been changed. So I've talked a lot about this retreat being successful, and so many people have been questioning, like, oh, that's so amazing, like how much money did you make? And I'm like, these things are not interlinked. Success and making money, they're not the same thing, right? But our society has definitely taught us that it is, because Chloe and I have faced so much judgment throughout this whole process, between hosting a retreat for the first time and the venue we picked and the price point and all of these things that matter so much to people. And then to go and say that we had such a successful retreat, people are like, but how? Like, you had this amazing venue and you only had this many people. Success and money are not interlinked. Our first retreat was such a fucking success, and no, we didn't break even, but that does not take away from how amazing the experience was for Chloe and I to learn, and also for our guests to absolutely grow and flourish across that weekend. Okay, this is absolutely the wildest question that I received. Do you come from family money? First of all, I'm like so impressed that I give off the energy that I come from family money, because I absolutely do not. And I know that like all of these holidays may make it seem like I have a bit of money behind me, but everything's self-funded. I absolutely have worked my butt off the last however many months to make the retreat happen. I picked up an extra job just so I could pay that retreat that we didn't break even on. There's a lot of hard work that goes into everything that I do in the background, and even when it appears like I'm not doing any work, trust me, there is a lot going on. Planning that retreat was a lot, and I don't think that people realize quite how much goes into it, because I have the flexibility and the freedom to go and do fun things in the middle of the day, but the work still needs to be done, whether it's done that morning, whether it's done that night. 2 a.m. in the morning, my work is always done, but I have a lot more flexibility than other people, and I think sometimes I only share the highlights, which can definitely be misconstrued via social media. No, I don't come from family money. How are you doing, really? I am doing better, definitely. I think there's ups and downs. I think the retreat really stressed me out, and so I definitely feel really grateful to have had that experience, but to now just be kind of sitting in the peacefulness of not having anything upcoming that I really need to focus on. And although I would like to host another retreat, I think that I need to just take a little breather for myself to kind of recoup, regather. And I'm really taking this time to work on some projects that I've had on the back burner for a little while now, and just kind of start to get my ducks in a row and get everything sorted out, so that when I do get back from Sri Lanka and Malaysia, I can really focus on the goals within my business, and also maybe going back to a full-time job as well. Do I believe in karma? Yes, I do. I think that karma is definitely playing a role in our lives, and we are continuously creating karma, good and bad, through all of our actions and all of the things we do, including our thoughts, which is an interesting one, because one of my friends has been going through a lot, and she has been mentally attacking someone, and I was like, that is going to earn you some bad karma. And she was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, just because you're not saying it energetically, you're still throwing shade at that person, and that creates karma. So karma can be created through our thoughts as well as our actions. So I always try to be really mindful about not just what I'm doing, what I'm saying, but also what I'm thinking. What is my best manifestation tip? Manifestation is such a hot topic, and I am definitely not a manifestation guru. Having said that, I have manifested quite a lot of things for myself, but I also take a lot of aligned action. And I think it's about trusting those gut instincts and the things that you feel pulled to, the things that you get really excited about, and really trusting yourself to dive into them. So even though going to Sri Lanka and going on this surf retreat is kind of against my logical mind, my better judgment because of the finances of it, I've taken the leap and I'm going to do it, because you never know what opportunities these things are going to bring up for you. You don't know the life experience that it's going to give you and how it might get you to the next step and get you to where you're meant to be. But without that trust in the universe, without that aligned action, you'll never ever get there, and you'll start to become really stuck and stagnant. And then you're like, well, why aren't my manifestations coming through? Why isn't everything being handed to me? Well, are you following your intuition? Are you being guided, and are you just not listening? Because I feel like that is the thing that holds most people back, is they know what they want and they know where they want to be, but there's like this middle area of action and trust in the divine that is the hardest part. How much do I charge for my kids' yoga classes, and do I charge per child or per group? That's like more of a businessy question, so I'll keep this super short. Essentially, I was doing a public class where I charge per child, and it was just super inconsistent. So I've really tried to frame my business model around going into community centres where the council pays me, or going into childcare centres or schools where the institution can pay me, and then every single child in that class gets to participate, because I really want my yoga to be inclusive and allow everyone to come along. So that's kind of how I've framed it and the way that I prefer to do it. But pricing wise, I think it really depends on who you are, what you're offering, and what you think you're worth and the value that you bring. I would definitely try to do some market research and see if you can find out what other people in your area are charging for similar things, or like what industry standard would be for incursions in childcares and schools, and then base your numbers around that. I hope that's helpful. I feel like I've talked and talked and talked, and I don't even know if I've given you guys very much context about me, but I'm going to put an anonymous question link up in my bio permanently on my Instagram. So if you do have any follow-up questions or any questions at all, you can head over to my gram and pop it in the anonymous question box, and then that way you don't have to be attached to the question. I'll never know that it's you, so you can ask anything you want, and I will do my very, very best to answer it for you. Once again, my name is Tash. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time. In saying that every single person banging, even though they know I'm filming. Bro, you done? Yes. Received an experience